The thoughts and opinions on Just Some Podcast are of the hosts and guests and do not represent the views of organizations that employ them or they volunteer for. They are also not responsible for spontaneous black holes or nuclear wars that may occur. You have been warned.
Welcome, everybody, to another fun-filled and exciting episode of Just Some Podcast. This is Tom.
Hey, this is Ben. Tom, man, it's been a little bit since we talked. We're apparently going into this, doing it every 2 weeks now for some reason. We've just been busy with life. I know we both have, so how's it been, man?
It has been swell. I was going to say the same thing. Is we try and record once a week, but this past month seems to be some speed bumps along the way, and that's okay. That happens. But people have been asking, why aren't you guys putting out an episode this week? So that's why we are trying to stick to the once a week format, but we do not get paid for this show. So sometimes life intervenes and we have to take care of those personal issues first. So that's why we still love everybody, but that's what's been going on. So we'll get back to once a week, probably next year, 2 years. I don't know. I'm joking.
5 years. I mean,
5 years. It's a 5 year plan. I'm super excited tonight, Ben.
Why is that, Tom?
Well, it is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and we're talking about one of my favorite subjects in the world.
Boobies.
Exactly. And we have an amazingly awesome guest tonight, a Miss Lana. You want to say hi, Miss Lana?
Hey.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay.
That's all you get.
Okay,
We're just done.
Okay. My name's Lana. I'm a nurse practitioner. Been a nurse practitioner since 2007. Diagnosed with breast cancer in 2018.
Oh, so this is real recent.
Yep, it is. Yep, I just finished all my treatment in December.
Awesome on that. So, and we'll get more into that as we go. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's not awesome, but I'm glad you're done. So.
Oh, yeah, I know. Yeah,
I mean,
okay.
awesome.
Yeah. It is awesome because it's done.
So Ben is one of the nicest guys I know, and you should see his face. He's like, damn it, like that look on his face right now. Oh my God, that was worth it right there. So we'll get into I guess we can get into it now. So what type of nurse practitioner are you? Family? You're acute
Family.
care?
Yep, I'm a family. I worked urgent care for about 5 years, and then I've been doing family practice ever since.
And I was gonna say, do you have a preference?
Yeah, probably urgent care.
Oh, really? That kind of surprises me.
Well, you know what? I like not knowing what's coming in, quick in and out, to the point. I like that, but I like the hours and the schedule better with family practice.
That's fair.
Okay, I can see that. Yeah.
Well, I was going to say I work in a urgent care type setting. And while I love what I do, especially right now with flu season winding up, I'm like, oh God, every day is a constant fight to not stab myself in the eye with a toothpick dipped in Tabasco sauce.
Yeah. I can understand that.
Yeah. But I mean, I love taking care of my patients and I love the staff I work with. So, I mean, it all works out, but I am myself transitioning to primary care here in a few months. So, well, I guess we'll see how that all works out. So maybe I'll give you a call and be like, hey, how did you deal with this? So
that's right. Now, have you done primary care before?
No, I'm still a relatively new nurse practitioner. So it's hard to explain without getting too specific, but I work in a family practice setting and I work as like an overflow person that does urgent care on the side.
Okay.
So I work with the primary care guy. So I have a good understanding of what we're going to be doing. And sometimes I help out with their patients, but primarily I'm a walk-in urgent care type provider. So
Okay.
it's a little bit of
It's a
both.
big change, but it's definitely worth it. You get to know your patients a little bit more. You get to manage the chronic illnesses and stuff. So, I mean, I've really enjoyed it, but I just kind of feel like urgent care is more my thing. But I like, I'll do family practice because I like it and I like the hours.
So before you were a nurse practitioner, when you were a RN, what did you work in?
Labor and delivery.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So when I graduated, I went to work in an urgent care so I could see a little bit of everything because all I knew was vaginas.
Yeah, I was
And
gonna say.
yeah. So
There you go.
basically, I thought I need to go to work somewhere where I'm going to see a little bit of everything and kind of get, and that's what I did.
I was gonna say that would be one of the pitfalls of labor and delivery, without making it sound bad, is you are very siloed. You're very niche.
That's true.
Like
Yep.
that's all you're
Yep.
going to see. So,
Yep.
all
And I
right.
knew I didn't want to be a midwife. I don't like getting up in the middle of the night. I don't like, so I knew that was not for me. And so when I was getting my bachelor's, I volunteered at a free clinic. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is, I want to be a nurse practitioner and volunteer at a free clinic. And so I have done that some through the years, but labor delivery was always what I did. But midwifery was not for me.
Well, I got to be
That's
honest.
something we have in common.
Yeah.
Yeah, labor delivery is one of the few things. Ben and I have ER backgrounds. I mean, I think I've done a few more things like ICU and stuff, but we're primarily ER. And when the call comes in, oh, we have a ambulance inbound with a pregnant female, we're like, nope, you had better just keep on going. I'll handle car wrecks and amputations, but if you say pregnant female, nope, you better just keep on moving. I would literally go hold the elevator doors, like, nope, come this way. You need to go right through there is where you need to go.
That's funny.
Yep.
I'll never forget one time a patient delivered in the field. And I had been a labor and delivery nurse for so long, I said, why was she in a field? And I mean, and I was as serious as I could be. I thought, I don't even know, why was she out in a field? So
yes, I love when someone says something and then you say something like that. We've all done it, and then everybody looks at you. You're like, oh, wait a second, I missed a part.
I must have said something stupid, But yeah, it was like I really seriously, I thought that too. I was like, well, what was she out in the field for? So.
Well, okay, Ben.
Yes.
This is coming up on Ben's favorite part of the show.
Every time, right?
Yeah, every time.
All right. It's our social media shout out, Tom.
Yeah, let's see if you still got it.
I know it's been a little while. Let's see if I me. Yeah, I think I got it. All right. So you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube, all at Just Some Podcast. You can find us on the web. We're at www.justsomepodcast.com. Or you can email us, admin@justsomepodcast.com. Don't forget, you can also find us on the iHeart Radio apps. And you can also find us on Helium Radio. We're on Helium Radio After Dark. That's their channel, too. We are on there Thursday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 Central. Tom, I don't forget anything that time. What else can they do to help us out, man?
Well, the biggest thing that they can do to help us out, and they have been more than generous to do so, and we appreciate it, is that they go to the Just Some Podcast website. They scroll down to just about the bottom of the page. There's a link to Amazon. If you click on that, it'll take you to Amazon. You can continue your shopping, and we get a small amount of proceeds for some of the stuff you buy. It costs you nothing. You won't even know we were there. And it helps out the show, and we truly appreciate it. And so many people really honestly have used it. The response has been awesome. So we absolutely appreciate. And no, in case you're wondering, we get a list of some of the things that have been purchased, but we don't know who, when, where, what, any of that stuff. So, you feel free to buy the inflatable sheep that you've always wanted. It is not going to come up to us as, Miss Lana there bought it. Lana or Lana?
Lana.
With your accent, that sounds the
Lana.
exact same to me.
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
so there you go. I would say her. So
That's okay. That's okay. You just say her. That's
well,
fine.
I thought I had it earlier from when we did pre-show and we were talking, and then you were talking and you introduced yourself. I was like, well, crap. Have I been saying it?
It's okay.
Okay. Well, there you go.
You know what? If you're in the ballpark, I'm fine.
All right. Well, I am a Yankee, so maybe that's why I can't say it. There you go. That's the problem.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, exactly.
But hey, shout out to the person who did buy the Finnegan and Fowler's procedures book through our Amazon link. We appreciate that, and that's a great book.
Obviously,
anyway,
they were listening. So,
yeah.
All right. So now I think we got that up. Oh crap! Something just fell at my house. That's cool.
Earthquake. Oh no.
All right. So what would you just do?
I said earthquake. Get shit falling.
Yeah. No, it was not.
Okay, good.
But that's okay. So let's see here. Check. All right. So yeah, I think it's story time, right? We got to remind ourselves what we're doing every once in a while.
So yeah. So getting into our stories that we may have missed, was actually shared in one of the nurse practitioner groups that Tom and I are a part of. But I thought it was an interesting story, so I thought I would tell it anyway, and it kind of ties into what we're talking about tonight. Tom, there was a woman in England who learned that she had cancer from a photo at a tourist attraction. It was a British tourist. Her name is, we're going to go with Bal, maybe B-A-L? Bal Gill. She's a 41-year-old mother from England. I butchered that. If she's listening, I'm sorry. Email me, tell me how to pronounce it.
Yeah, give us the phonetics.
So they visited the Camera Obscura and World of Illusions in Edinburgh, Scotland during a family vacation. And one of the cameras was in a thermal imaging camera room, which basically can tell you to see how hot or cold your body is. During her picture, she noticed that there was a heat patch that was red coming from her left breast. They thought it was weird, so they took a picture of it. She went home and did some research and determined that that could potentially be a sign of a cancer. So she made an appointment with her doctor, and it turns out she did have early stage breast cancer. She was in early stages, and so they've been able to do some surgeries to try to prevent it from spreading. But it was all from a thermal imaging camera at a tourist attraction.
Wow. I did not see that. That's really interesting.
I saw that. I think that is interesting too. You got to think there's got to be some future breast cancer, treatments or diagnoses with something like that.
That's what I was just going to say is how easy would it be to just be like, oh, you meet this criteria, come in here and stand in front of a FLIR and we can take an early stage and see if there's something to investigate.
Right.
That's pretty awesome. I have heard one other thing, and I was talking to somebody about this today, and it's semi-related to what we were just talking about. So there is new imaging software that they use for a lot of mammograms. Do you know where they got the algorithm for the computer program? Does anybody know?
I don't.
No.
The Hubble Space Telescope.
Really?
Oh.
Yes. So NASA used this stuff for digitizing and clearing up pictures for deep space exploration, and they figured out, hey, this can work on tissue. And so now there is, and I don't know the specifics. I don't remember which one. I wish I did, but there are people that are finding breast cancer much, much earlier due to the Hubble Space Telescope. So, and next time someone says, why do we fund NASA? Because they create stuff to explore, and we can use it in the real world now. So that I thought was pretty interesting. So
that is interesting.
Yeah, that is.
So now it's time.
Now it's time.
So here is the deal, Miss Lana. That sounds
Close
right.
enough.
There you go.
That's perfect.
So what kind of cancer were you diagnosed with?
I was diagnosed with estrogen and progesterone-driven tumors. I am not BRCA positive. I'll just tell you a little bit. I had a mammogram in July of 2017 that was normal. Had a physical in September of 2017 with a normal breast exam. January of 18, I noticed a lump, and it was big. I mean, I'm talking like, I told my husband it felt like somebody had cut my skin and put a Lego in there. That's what it felt like.
Oh, wow.
And I mean, even being a nurse practitioner, I thought, well, I just had a normal mammogram. I just had a normal breast exam. I have no family history. This is fibrocystic. I mean, and plus it was just like one night it was just there. And I don't know why that is. My thought on that is I feel like that it was probably growing underneath the muscle. And then once it got heavy, it just popped on top and I could feel it. And so I blew it off for about 6 weeks, just thinking, well, it's got to be fibrocystic. It can't be anything bad. I don't have a family history. And so finally, I went and saw my nurse practitioner the end of February of 18, and I could tell from the minute she touched it. And she was like, Lana, why did you let this go? And I've just, I felt stupid, but I really felt like it wasn't anything in the beginning. So mine was hormone driven and it grew very, very rapidly. They went back and looked at my mammogram to see if they had missed anything, a BB sized lesion or anything, and they didn't see anything. And so the next day I went over to mammogram and they did a biopsy, and I remember thinking, oh, I'm just going to run over there. It's going to be real quick. And I asked the radiologist, I said, what percentage do you think this is cancer? And she said 70%. And I was like, oh,
Wow.
can you call next door and have them cancel my afternoon? And they really rushed my specimen and stuff. So I knew by the next morning that it was breast cancer.
Wow.
I will say one thing I would like people to know is 85% of women with breast cancer don't have a family history. So,
See, that's
yeah,
that's news to me. And I mean, I hate to sound ignorant, but that's exactly what it is. There's a lot about breast cancer that honestly I don't know, and I'm hoping that by us doing this show that for those other nurse practitioner students, and we actually have quite a few non-healthcare listeners
Yeah.
that maybe this is the type of information that we can say, hey, if your sister, your mom, your cousin happens to mention this at Thanksgiving, remember this, like these are the life-saving things that hopefully this helps. So it happened fast. That's one of the first things I'm noticing about your story is like
yeah,
within months we had a complete change.
yes, exactly.
So is that type of speed, for lack of any better knowledge, is it that fast growth hallmark of that type of tumor, or is that common with other types of breast cancer?
No, I don't think it is. I think it is probably common with the hormone-driven cancer. But a lot of people don't have rapid growing tumors like that. They'll have like a little lump and it just kind of just stays small. And the funny thing about mine was, by the time I felt it, it never changed. So it's not like over the 6 weeks I waited, it got any bigger, but it grew so rapidly. And that's why I don't really, honestly, I don't know. Did it grow underneath the muscle and pop on top? That's what I'm thinking happened because I know that lump had not been there. And so that's one thing I think about, having to tell women, now they don't recommend self breast exams anymore. And I disagree with that because and not that I was really even doing a self breast exam, but I was in the shower and I just felt it. And it was such a huge lump that, I just feel like women should check their breasts because you're going to feel something different before a mammogram's going to pick it up every year.
Well, see, that's okay. So I thought the new guidelines were women should continue to do self breast exams, but we did not need to continually the yearly self or yearly breast
Yeah,
exam.
that's true.
So the new guidelines say self
Well,
too.
what's funny is I looked it up on the American Cancer Association, and I swear that's what it said, but I'll double check that.
Okay, because I could have swore that it said continue self, but we
Okay.
did not need to continue in
Okay.
office,
I know they're not supposed to do it anymore.
which is a real shame, if you ask me.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I know now they don't want mammograms to start until age 45, which I disagree with too, because I know quite a few, just friends who have been in their early 40s who have been diagnosed with breast cancer.
You know, I and I'm sure Ben, as funny as it is to say stuff like that for a male, it's not exactly the most comfortable. Like, I don't mind the breast exams I've had to do. It was more in school than it is in the urgent care, but it's never this is going to be a fun outing for us. We're like, okay, this is not, so for those non-healthcare professionals out there, trust me, I'm sure there is some wacko out there in the world that is perverted, but for the grand majority of us, we are legitimately just trying to get an exam done, and it's not something that we're there to enjoy. So I just to try and keep the subject matter light, but it's not realistically anything that we're looking forward to doing. So, Ben, you have a question. I was going to let you go first.
So I was just going to say, thanks. So Lana, so from the biopsy, you were diagnosed the next day. Mm-hmm. So then how long of a time before you got into oncology? I mean, kind of, can you walk us through kind of what happened from that point?
So March 1st, I found out, March 1st of 18, I found out it was breast cancer. I made an appointment with oncology, made an appointment with a surgeon. I ended up choosing to have a bilateral mastectomy on March 23rd. I chose bilateral because the tumor in the left breast was 4 centimeters. And so they were going to have to do that side anyway. And so I just said, take them both. And their response was, chances of getting breast cancer in the right breast are less than 10%. And I said, my chances of getting it, period, were less than 2. So I don't want to risk it. And the doctor that did my surgery, he did a lot of education and a lot of teaching and probably spent over an hour with us giving me options. But I went ahead and chose to have the bilateral mastectomy. So I did that March 23rd, started chemo May 3rd, did 4 rounds of adriamycin Cytoxan, which is called the Red Devil, lost all my hair, and then 12 weeks of Taxol, which is a different kind of chemo. I did that weekly. And then after that, I did 35 rounds of radiation.
Wow.
So,
yeah, it just kind of went, it went from diagnosis to boom. Everything just happened very quickly.
So without hopefully getting too personal then, so after you had the bilateral mastectomy, then have you went back and done like plastics to rebuild?
You know what? I haven't. I have not. And I didn't do anything at the time. I just didn't know what I wanted to do. And it was like, I just don't know. I don't know what I want to do. And so met with a plastic surgeon and, I just didn't, I don't know. So I decided not to do anything. So now a year has passed almost since I finished radiation. And so now I think, well, maybe I'll try it. So I have an appointment with a plastic surgeon on November 7th, just a consult, because if he's going to tell me that I have to have drains or I have to have anything like that, I'm not going to do it, because I had to have drains for 6 weeks after my mastectomy, and I never want to do that again. And so I'm going to go meet with him, just kind of get how much time would I have to miss from work? What are we talking about? I know what they do. He would have to go in and put in expanders and that kind of thing. And I just don't know what we're talking about pain-wise or, how long of a process that would be and what I would be looking at surgery-wise. So I am going to go meet with one just to kind of talk about it. But so far, I haven't done anything.
Well, and I would say I can't imagine being in that position, but yeah, I think that's a really reasonable way to look at it. I think so many people just automatically assume that, oh, you're going to get a mastectomy, so you're going to get breast implants. And I don't think that that's as common as people think. I think there's lots of women that choose to not move forward with plastics afterwards.
Yeah. I mean, I've met a lot, that have chosen not to. I've met a lot that's chosen to, and I think it's just a personal choice. There are times I think, I wonder if I should have, but then there's times where I think, hey, I don't ever have to wear a bra, and that's pretty nice. I mean? So, I don't have to wear a bra, I don't do anything. And so I like that too, but it's just such a personal choice. And I think, my husband was very supportive with whatever I chose to do. And I think that makes a huge difference too, and just kind of your support system and, your relationship and that kind of thing. I think that makes a big difference.
Well, and that kind of leads into what my next question was going to be then. So, obviously, you said your husband was very supportive of your choice, and obviously has been supportive through everything. What about work? His work, and not as about not in regards to your choice of getting breast implants or not, but I mean just as a whole for supporting you in regards to your cancer. Then was was it very supportive, or how was that?
Very supportive. I had been with the same job at that time for over 10 years. And when I was diagnosed, I was extremely supportive for everything. I had a Relay for Life team. We sold t-shirts. When I was out of work, they did everything they could for me. And, that's one thing I will say is the job. I can't even express how supportive everybody was. And it was very nice that I never once felt like I was, leaving that. Well, okay, let me start back. Okay, let me just say in the beginning, when I was first diagnosed, we were hiring a new physician, and I was the only provider in the office. And so I found out I had breast cancer. I went and met with the oncologist, and I said, "Is there any way I can wait 6 weeks before I have surgery?" And he said, "Why?" And I said, "Well, my son's turning 18. We have a camping trip planned, and we have a new doctor starting at work, and I want to get her oriented." And he looked at me and said, "No." And I said, "Okay, all right, but I just wanted to ask." And he went and he told no. And that, you know what, that was ridiculous. But in my mind at the time, I was thinking about everything other than the fact that I had breast cancer.
I would like to just say, as much as I agree with that doctor, and I'm glad he put his foot down and said no, I also don't think it's ridiculous that you were trying to plan on your life around the situation. I mean, I agree that it needed taken care of, and I'm glad that happened. I just don't think it's unreasonable for a person to think about other things at that moment. I think we all do that. I think that's a perfectly human response. Right. So I just don't think anybody should ever feel bad. I mean, I'm glad that you didn't wait, but I think that's the human response is, well, can I do other stuff? And that's why I think it's also very important for people to go to those professionals that can guide us and say, no, you can't, and that's why it's important for us to branch out and talk to those people that have that knowledge. So one last thing I want to ask about, because I think Ben's looks like he's just chomping at the bit to ask another question, but hold on a second, Ben. So I am sure that you have delivered bad news. I know Ben has talked about delivering bad news. I certainly have been involved in many cases with that, but I've always been the person on the delivery side. So that people can understand, or people that are nurse practitioners or PAs listen to this, so they get the sense of what their patient's going to go through. What was it like, or what was the feeling when they said you have cancer?
Oh, you know what? It's so hard. I think when I first knew that day, because I knew the day they did the biopsies, I could just tell. And I came home and I told my husband and I told my children. And I remember my son asking me, "Why did this happen to you? You don't smoke, you don't do stuff, why did this happen to you?" And I said, "I don't know. This is how it works." And I just remember, I think at first I was in denial. And I don't know. I just don't remember. I'm trying to think about it. And I think that I just thought this really just can't be happening to me. I don't have any family history. I don't have any, and I just think I was in denial, but everything happened so quickly. And I had my mastectomy on March 23rd, and then my mother fell and died from a head injury on April 18th before I started chemo. Geez. And so I had so much happening that I think I just went through the motions, and I'm not sure. I don't think it hit me until it was all said and done. And then I think I kind of had this little mini breakdown where it's kind of like when you're fighting the battle, you have so many people there supporting you, and you have people bringing food, and you have all this kind of stuff. And then when it's all over, everybody thinks everything is better, and everybody kind of goes back to their houses and stuff like that. And all of a sudden, that's kind of when you need people, is because everything is over, and now you've got the aftermath, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that does.
And I mean, I think as a patient, here you are, a woman, breasts are important. And all of a sudden, I can remember laying there thinking, I look like an alien. I am bald. You lose all your body hair. If nobody, every single bit of your body hair is gone. I have no breast. I just felt like I had lost who I was. And when I looked in the mirror, I didn't see myself anymore. I saw a stranger. And it's been almost a year, and sometimes I still see that stranger.
Huh.
Yeah, I mean, because I don't look the same. I don't look the same. My hair is completely different. That kind of thing.
So have you, is professional counseling part of the support that you have sought after? Is that a standard, like for most breast cancer?
I don't know if it's a standard, but I really feel like people need to have somebody to talk to, because it's hard. It's much, I will say every day is getting better. It gets better. My hair's growing out. I'm feeling more like myself now. But it is a struggle. And I just feel like if you don't have a lot of support, and I had tons of support, and I feel for people who don't have that. I mean, I had it with friends and family and job and everything. I had so much support and still do. And, I just feel for people who don't have that. And I feel like I always kind of look to try to find, there's breast cancer support groups, there's therapists, there's things that can deal with this kind of thing. But you lose so much of yourself when you're diagnosed with any kind of cancer. And I just feel like as a woman, when you go through breast cancer and your appearance changes so much, you kind of lose who you are. And I think it just takes a while to get that back.
And so now you've been deemed cancer free, I mean, with the bilateral mastectomy and radiation and everything?
So the way my oncologist words it is, I'll never be able to walk in there and he'll tell me that I'm cancer free.
Okay.
But I have done everything that I was supposed to do, and now I'm going to be on tamoxifen, which is a hormone blocker, for 5 years. And then that may end up being 10 years. It kind of rotates. Studies show 5 years, 10 years, that kind of thing. Right now, the plan is for me to be on it for 5 years. I started in January. And then, I mean, I don't have breasts. I don't have mammograms anymore. And they don't do routine screening. They don't do like routine chest CTs or abdominal CTs or anything like that. You're symptomatic. They check you. And if not, you just assume that you're cancer free.
So I'm trying to. Okay, again, if it's too personal, you can tell me you don't answer it, and we'll remove this part out. There was a video that went around several years ago. It kind of went viral on social media, and it was a gentleman who was town hall meeting with a senator, and they were talking about health insurance and things like that. And he was talking about his wife who had been diagnosed with cancer, and so like every pain that she gets or everything that she gets, in the back of her mind, it's always, is this the cancer coming back? Is that something that you deal with?
Every single day. Well, it's because I read this kind of towards the end of my treatment last year, and it has really, really stuck with me. And I read it online from a girl who had gone through breast cancer. And she said, probably this happens with any kind of cancer, but when your body betrays you in such a way after you have trusted it, it's hard to ever trust it again.
That seems reasonable.
Yeah. So you do, I'm a little bit better, I think, than I was. I haven't had an x-ray in probably 3 months. So, I mean, at first I was like, oh, I need a hip. My hip needs an x-ray. I need a KUB. Well, I have had an ultrasound, but, I've really I think I'm doing better. I think each day, but anytime I have any kind of weird back pain or something because, oh, I hope it's not my spine. I hope it's not,
No, I don't think that unusual considering the circumstances. Hell, I've never had anything like that. And I've always said if I won the lottery, the first thing I would do is get a head to toe MRI and a heart cath. So
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, to me, this all sounds perfectly normal. I mean, well, perfectly normal for being like, oh my God, is that because I mean, obviously this is so much on a smaller scale, but I just had a kidney stone one time.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
it, right? Clearly not cancer related. But I will tell you every time if I get a real sharp pain in my back, like out of nowhere, I go into cold sweats. Like, oh my God, here it comes. And I'm going to die. This is going to be terrible. And I think it's the ultimate betrayal. Like you said, like I've lived with this body my whole life and it tried to get me, dead. That's unpleasant.
Yeah. I mean, it is. It's it did, and I'm like, I have my mammograms every year. I did everything I was supposed to do, and here this body does this to you, and so it's almost like walking around with a gun to your head because you're constantly worried that something's going to happen. But I mean, like I said, I think that's getting better.
Well, I applaud you
Yeah,
because you're stronger than I am. We'll put it that way.
Mm-hmm. You never know.
How has your diagnosis and treatments and how has that impacted you as a provider and providing care to others?
I think I'm a much better listener than I used to be because I think you have to listen to a lot of times to what people aren't saying. And so I feel like I've just learned more about myself. And so I try to be more present in the situation, even with doing like meeting a new patient or that kind of thing. I try to listen better and just be a better provider than not that I was. I mean, I was a good provider, but I feel like now I just listen and definitely teach women about self-breast exams and preventative screenings for, males, females, and even, men can get breast cancer. So that's another thing. If the male patient or anybody feels a lump in their breast, they definitely need to get it checked, because I think there's like 4% of breast cancers are men.
So I just had this whole mental image in my head of my wife walking into the bathroom while I'm in the shower going, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Hey, Lana said do self-breast exams. By God, I'm doing them right now."
That's right. Well, what's funny is how I found my lump was in the shower, just bathing, and I just rubbed my hand over it, and I thought, okay, that hadn't been there, and it was just very noticeable. And so that's why I think that when you have something like that happen and you feel it, it's just completely different. And so you'll, even with men, if you notice anything in the shower or whatever, you'll notice it and you'll be able to tell the difference.
It's just, like you said, it's scary. I know a women's health nurse practitioner. She said, she taught, she's a women's health nurse practitioner. She taught people about breast cancer, etc. And she was getting dressed, she said, and she had her arm above her head and she noticed something wasn't right.
Mm-hmm.
And I just kept thinking, how scary is it that a professional, a recognized expert in her field, it took that one thing, like you said, she did all the stuff. She did all the stuff we're supposed to do.
Exactly.
Tell people that we're doing. And I know that we catch it early by doing those preventative exams, but they're still, without a lack of education, without a lack of proactive screening, doing it yourself. I know two people personally now. I consider talking to you now personal. I know two people now personally that have found it by accident.
Mm-hmm.
And it's astounding to me that with all the information and technology we have, we're still finding things by accident like this.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I know a friend of mine noticed hers the same way, just lifting her arm, and she saw something that didn't look right, and that's how she found hers. Same thing that you said. I mean, it's just it's just so weird how it happens. And I mean, yes, mammogram finds a lot, but I know a lot of people who just find it by accident, and I just think that that's why it's so important just to kind of know your body and that kind of thing, and be preventative, and just kind of, if something feels funny or looks funny, get it checked.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, Tom, I wanted to kind of wrap up with some statistics, and then we can go into our final segment. Yes.
No.
Yes. I'm going to do it.
I'm going to.
Let me say one thing right quick. Women should do self-breast exams. I did look that up. And so women should still do self-breast exams. They're just recommending that as providers, we don't do that yearly breast exam with a physical anymore, which I still have been. When you get into family practice time, you can do it too. And so that'll be great.
There you go, Tom.
So I'm just saying, Lana, if you want to come to Ohio, I'll be like, hey, it's time for your physical, Lana. So
well, guess what? I have a flat
well,
tire.
you might not then. So who knows? You said you don't know. So
that's true. Yes, I don't know. I have an appointment coming up.
I love that. Again, the whole mental image of her going, this is awkward. I'm like, yep, but we're doing it, Lana. So
that's right. Look, hey, there's nothing here, but hey, check it out.
Oh goodness. All right.
Yeah.
So so you want to go some statistics, but I'm going to throw out other random statistics. I'm joking. I'm not going to.
I was
going to start saying like baseball box scores. Like, did you know the Houston Astros have never lost more than 3 games in a row this entire season?
So
I did not know that.
Only Houston Astro fans know that. I'm not a Houston Astro fan. It's just a random fact. So
about 1 in 8 U.S. women, about 12% will develop invasive breast cancer over the course of their lifetime. For men, that risk is 1 in 883. In 2019, an estimated 268,600 new cases of invasive breast cancer are expected to be diagnosed in the United States. For women in the United States, breast cancer death rates are higher than those for any other cancer besides lung cancer. As of January 2019, there are more than 3.1 million women with a history of breast cancer in the United States. That includes women currently being treated and women who have finished treatment. A woman's risk for breast cancer nearly doubles if she has a first-degree relative, mother, sister, or daughter who has been diagnosed with breast cancer. Less than 15% of women who get breast cancer have a family member diagnosed with it. And as Lana said earlier, about 85% of breast cancers occur in women who have no family history of breast cancer. These occur due to genetic mutations that happen as a result of the aging process and life in general, rather than inherited mutations. And Tom, do you know how many mammograms have been done as of October 1st, 2019 for the year?
39 million.
Exactly, because I told you that earlier. Over 39 million. Yeah. Let's clarify. Tom's original answer off the air was 1 million. So
yeah. Well, he said it. To be fair, okay, we were talking. I was writing down some notes for the show, and he's like, "How many?" And I was like, "I don't know." Off the top of my head, I don't know, like 1.5 million. He's like 39 million. I'm like, so clearly nowhere close to my answer. So there you go.
Right.
Yeah, total annual mammogram procedures reported as of October 1, 2019, 39,630,813.
That's good.
That's great. And honestly, after hearing her story, I'm like, why aren't we doing more? Like, it just seems, God, it just scares me. And I live not far away from the Stephanie Spielman Breast Cancer Center. It's part of the James Cancer Center for Ohio State. And I know there's some of the best people in the country, probably the world, at this. And I just want to go up there now and be like, okay, guys, clearly I missed the boat on some education. And it is October, Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Mm-hmm. So we need to do some learning. So I'm so glad we had you on the show tonight.
I am glad too. I enjoy, really, I've told my story a lot. And I just feel like if it can help anybody, but I was in my old job, right after I was diagnosed, I bet 75 people or more went and had mammograms that had not had one recently. So, if it can save one person, then great. I'm glad I've done it.
Well, you have just told your story to thousands of people on all 7 continents now. So,
Oh, I know. I saw that. That's great.
Yeah, there are some people trying to translate this, or as they're listening to this, in foreign countries, and one motherfucker in Vermont, but
No,
we got them.
We've had much.
Okay, but you know what? That Vermont one's never going to be able to figure it out because I'm way too Southern.
It's true.
They're going to use the same Google Translate. So.
Yeah, really. Google Translate Southern.
Oh, goodness.
Well, Lana, are you ready for our final segment of the show?
I am ready.
All right, let me cue up the music here. Join us on a journey into the inner psyche of our guest as we ask five questions. All right, Lana, this is 5 questions. We ask the same 5 questions to all of our guests.
Okay.
I ask the question, Tom makes fun of your answers.
Okay.
Right, Tom?
That's the dynamic we decided on.
Yeah.
All right, question 1. Lana, what is your favorite medical word?
Favorite medical word? Probably chlamydia.
Oh, Jesus.
Well, because it sounds like a flower, but it's not.
That's true. That's a valid point. It kind of does. It's like,
I mean, it does. Chlamydia. It just sounds like a flower. And plus, it's really hard to spell. And I don't know. That's just what popped in my head. Chlamydia, the flower. So,
I love I got a whole row of chlamydia blooming out on the lawn.
If you went to a nursery and said, hey, what kind of flower is that? And they said, oh, that's the chlamydia bush. It would sound perfectly normal.
She is correct.
I got nothing for that. I'm like, yeah.
Oh, I can't wait to start using that at work. We got a good old chlamydia bush blooming in room 22. I'll go back there and deal with it.
In room 2 here. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I can't wait for the nurse. Yeah, Tom. So they're complaining of chlamydia bushes after going on Tinder date. Yeah, that'll happen. Yeah.
It happens. All right. Question 2. If you could do any job in the world other than what you currently do, what would it be?
Oh, let's see. Probably a real estate agent because I like looking at houses. But I would only want clients who were real easy to deal with. So,
It's like a pipe dream.
So nothing hard.
Nothing hard. I used to say that if I was going to do anything non-medical, I would want to work like at Starbucks. But now I think I would like to go show houses and stuff like that all day.
Well, I mean, it can be medical. Like, would you go back to school and become a surgeon or something like that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh,
yep.
Okay. So screw real estate.
True.
She's like, I want to cut people.
Yeah,
oh, geez. So, I just figured with your accent, it would either be between NASCAR driver, moonshine distiller, or barbecue chef.
You know what? I'm not a good cook, so that knocks that out. I did buy my husband a still, so when we get that up and running, I'll let you know.
You had better.
Yes.
I will drive to your house for some Lana moonshine.
Okay, yeah. So. It's going to be called the Chlamydia Bush Shine.
Boom!
So,
Look at this.
Yeah, there we go.
You heard it here first, folks.
Yep. Well, I'm going to get the labels made and everything.
I want there to be like if you do flavors, I want a Tom flavor in there somewhere. Okay. This is spicy. It burns down south Tom moonshine. Okay. Yeah, like that special case.
Spicy and
but kind of tastes like ass.
Okay, I'll keep that in mind.
It burns when I pee, Tom.
Yeah.
All right, question 3. Then I think back to your first car. Was it a stylish ride or a rolling turd?
Oh my gosh, it was a stylish ride. I had a 1976 Camaro with Krager mag wheels, and it was wrapped up in the back, and my stereo had an equalizer power booster. It was the shit.
Damn.
She is not messing around.
No,
people.
I'm telling you.
No,
but it was cool.
You know what? she had my attention at Camaro, but when I knew she was serious was when she said mag wheels. I was like, oh my goodness.
Yep.
She
Yes,
knows.
it had some mag wheels. Yes, it was something else.
Sounds like
it was something else. So
It was. Yeah.
What was your top speed on it?
You know what? I'd say probably 100 miles an hour. We had this little road in the town I grew up in, and we would go race Camaros. Well, I raced another kind of Camaro, but I always had a car full of girls. So, and I think he let me win, but I always felt like my car was a little slower because it was full of people, and he just had his in his car. But I used to win all the time. So.
Did you do anything to the motor just for?
No. No, it might have been before I bought it, but no, it was all for looks, but I probably had it for a few years. And like I say, it broke down a lot and stuff, but it was good. I liked it.
That's a
question.
Win.
Question 4. If your house is on fire, everyone, including your pets, are safe. What's the one thing you want to get out of your house?
Probably my laptop, just because most of my pictures and all that kind of stuff is on there. So I would think my laptop.
Tom, we're going to change that question.
No, we're not changing the question, but what is it up with chicks and they always are worried about pictures?
It wasn't all chicks. Eric was pictures too.
Well, because that's just something you can't replace.
And that was Eric's answer too, see?
Well, you know what, though? It is in the cloud now. So, I mean, technically you can. But, it's just kind of, when you think about it, you just want to make sure you have all that kind of stuff. I could have said, like, my grandmother's china, but then I would have died in the fire. So,
see, she's being practical. She's being practical with this answer.
One thing to grab. So, I'm going to grab this laptop because, it's got everything I need on it.
But see, Tom, I think for the future, we're going to have to be like, so if your house is on fire, everyone, including your pets, are safe, and all your pictures are safe, then what's the one thing you want to get out of your house?
I see. Yeah, the Lana variant. That's what we're going to start calling it.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's fine. So I think that is important to a lot of people, though, is just,
And I'm not saying
pictures.
I'm not saying it's not important, but it just strikes me as I get to keep one thing for the rest of my life. I don't know that pictures is the first thing. I'm like, I could take more pictures, but I can't replace. I honestly, we answered this one time. I really don't even remember what I said.
I don't remember what you said either.
I probably said something cool like my genuine, authentic, fabricated 1976 Sports Illustrated football phone or something. I don't know, but I don't remember it being. I don't remember being pictures.
Right. Yeah.
Maybe it was your $173,000 dog.
Oh, fuck you. So yeah, no, you said my pet is safe. I have a puppy now, Miss Lana, and
was it that expensive?
Do what?
Was it $173,000?
In pesos, maybe. I don't know. I tell you right now, my wife was determined to get a puppy and just jammed it down my throat until I basically had a mental breakdown one day and just bought her a puppy.
I'm just going to keep inflating the price every time.
She picked the most expensive dog on the planet at this moment in time. So yeah, I have one of those. So
$2.5 million dog.
Yes, in yen, it's at least 2.4 million. So, and she is the cutest little thing in the world. She's got all the coloring and body of like a Cocker Spaniel, but she's got the wrinkly fat face and stuff like that, like a Shar-Pei. So it's she is adorable. She's still pissing on my floor. That's getting to me, but everyone keeps telling me, oh, she's a puppy, she'll grow out of it. I'm like, well, her lifespan is rapidly shortening if she doesn't learn. So she needs to get her ass in gear and start pissing outside every time. But yeah, I mean, she got shots. I realized the other night how much she must have grown on me, because she got her like last set of vaccination shots and she didn't have a good reaction and she started throwing up. And my wife is at home like, oh my God, what do I do? And I found myself at work going, oh my God, I got to get home and make sure my puppy's okay. And I was like, damn it, this puppy's growing on me. So I knew then.
It's very, very cute.
She is. I will send you a picture when we get off the air. I'll send you a picture, and you'll be like, "Oh my God, she's adorable. Everybody loves her."
Yeah, they're cute.
All right.
All right.
Ready
Let's
for
get this
question
last
time?
one. Ben's rolling his eyes so hard I can hear him clicking. So
Oh my
let's just,
goodness.
yeah.
All right, Lana. Question 5. The question that will tell us all about you.
It's like a mental Rorschach test that we can hear over over a radio. So
Okay.
You have $9.18 in your pocket. What all do you buy?
I'm going to buy a Reese's cup, some milk, and some Funyuns.
oh my God, will you marry me?
Go.
I'm just saying. Oh my God, that is
It's like road trip food, so that's what I'm going to get. I'm going to get me a Reese's, I'm going to get some milk, and I'm going to get Funyuns.
If she had thrown a Slim Jim in there, I would have been like, I'm marrying her tomorrow.
I would put a Slim Jim in there too. I love me some Slim Jim.
There you go. See?
Oh, she wants to make moonshine. She likes barbecue. She pretty much said my grocery list. I mean, oh my God.
Yeah.
I got to meet you. I got to meet you and give you a hug. I'm telling you.
Come on to North Carolina. We got plenty of room here.
All right. Maybe I'll have to, when I can afford a visit, because my expensive ass dog, maybe I'll.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah,
$3.4 million.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to. Every show now, I want to hear a new one. Did you know in Pakistan that dog's worth 12 million rupees?
That's gonna be good. You should look that up. That's gonna be fun.
Oh God, it is ridiculous. Yeah. Well, I had a great conversation. I thought.
Me too. I enjoyed it.
I mean, it was kind of a little darker than what we normally talk about, but it was highly important, and it was good to hear your story from a provider standpoint.
Yeah,
and I think we ended with some laughs. So
yeah, definitely.
Tom, you got anything else you want to say?
No. I think we covered all of it. And like I said, I think the importance of the episode speaks for itself. I mean, not only do we have an awesome lady with a wealth of knowledge as a nurse practitioner, but she has a great might not be the most appropriate word. She has an important story to tell. And honestly, for me, like looking back over what we talked about, and I don't normally do this. I don't think I've ever done this, but I will tell you, when you said, you looked yourself in the mirror, like, oh my God, you hit me in the feels.
Yeah. It's true. I mean, it's true.
I'd never heard anybody say it like that. And I almost could like picture you standing there seeing yourself like that. And I was like, oh my God. So it made it more personal for me. Like when I heard her say that, I was like, oh my God, like what if that was my mom or my sister or my cousin yeah. So I from the bottom of my heart, thank you for coming on the show and talking to us and giving us some good information. And hopefully there are people around the world that are going to hear this and they're going to say, hey, I know that there's something wrong. And instead of just letting it go or telling myself it's okay, they're going to go out and get it checked.
Exactly.
# check your boobies.
That's right.
Bam. Right. Yes. So, I mean, I've been so hard on myself trying to behave and not just scream out like things right now, because oh my goodness, it's an easy slippery slope to start saying boobies on this episode.
Don't be surprised, Tom, if when in the editing doesn't lose part of that and it just comes out with you saying I was so hard, and then it just cuts out.
Oh my God, you are such a God.
That'd be great.
I just want to punch here. I'm going to give you a testicle exam by punching you in them, and then we'll just see what happens. There you go, you jerk. But no, I thought it was great. I had a blast.
But if you like this episode, make sure you go do your self-breast exams. Go talk to your provider, or if you're a provider and you have a problem, go get a mammogram done. # check your boobies. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Just Some Podcast, web, www.justsomepodcast.com, email, admin@justsomepodcast.com.
Or if you feel like it's necessary, you just come find me and I will help you out. So there you go.
There you go.
I'm just saying. I'm trying to make the world a better place, Ben. Don't look at me like that.
I would like to point out that you don't do breast exams in urgent care, but I do them in family practice, so they can come find either one of us.
There you go. You know what? You're right. That was selfish of me. Ben and I are more than happy to help the women of America find me. That 4% of guys, though, Ben is in Kansas. He's always there. No, I won't discriminate. If you want a breast exam, by God, I will do it. I don't care who shows up. So there you go. I'm helping everybody. Ben, I absolutely will do your breast exam. So there you go.
Okay.
All right. On that note, let me try that again.
Oh, hold on. Before we do our sign off, Miss Lana, is there any last parting things you want to say, want to shout out, anything you want to do before we end the show here in a minute?
Yeah, I don't think so. I've enjoyed it. Thank you for having me on.
Well, I mean, I'm pretty awesome, so you're welcome.
Amazing. I mean, seriously, it's my life.
Oh my God. No, Ben and I generally have a really good time, so I think I can say for both of us we had a good conversation today.
Absolutely, yeah, we did.
Yeah.
On that note, I hope everybody has a great week.
Hey, everybody, stay safe out there and do those self-breast exams. Save the tatas.
That's right.
$17 million dog.
Practice swearing just to pass the time. Lately I see why I am alone. I caught some road rage and I thought of you. And all the many times you say I should have known. Took a class so I could find my G. Found mediocrity's the best that I could do. Went to shower but I slept all day. It takes everything to live the life I choose. Oh, what do you say? I screw up everything again. Oh, what did you prove except there's only more for me to lose? Failure's not the same without you.